For decades, there was this very specific, almost mathematical formula for what a quote-unquote perfect luxury wedding was supposed to be.
Oh, yeah, the rigid blueprint.
Right. A blueprint that families just, followed without question. You'd invite like 300 people.
Half of whom you barely even know.
Exactly. I mean, it's your parents' coworkers or your third cousins or people you literally haven't spoken to since middle school.
Yeah, the obligatory invites.
Yeah. And then you rent out this massive, just cavernous hotel ballroom or, a crowded banquet hall.
Yeah.
And you serve some variation of like dry, mass-produced chicken.
Or the really overcooked beef.
Oh, always the overcooked beef. And the couple basically spends the entire evening just running from table to table, right? Doing this exhausting diplomatic dance.
Just trying to say a 5-second hello to every single person.
Right, exactly. Before the house lights suddenly come on and the night is just abruptly over.
It really was, it was an exercise in industrial logistics, honestly. Just masquerading as a personal celebration.
That's a great way to put it.
Because the sheer volume of people dictated every single variable. I mean, when you have 300 guests, the timeline just becomes this military operation.
Right.
The temperature of the food, the flow of the room, the duration of the speeches, it's all compromised. You have to accommodate the herd,
Yeah, totally.
The traditional wedding industry was just fundamentally built on this factory model, processing these deep emotional milestones with, like, an assembly line mentality.
But if you look at the landscape today, that traditional formula,
Yeah.
the grand, sprawling,
Yeah.
incredibly stressful 300-person banquet hall wedding, it is officially dead.
Completely dead.
Yeah, for the modern luxury couple, it is functionally extinct.
Yeah.
So welcome to today's deep dive, where we are going to explore a completely different, honestly, almost unrecognizable reality.
It really is a whole new world.
It is. We have this fascinating 2026 trend report in front of us today. It's titled microwedding.docs, and it meticulously details the explosive rise of these intimate, just incredibly luxurious celebrations and private estates.
It's a fantastic document.
It really is. And our mission for this deep dive is to completely deconstruct how the very definition of a luxury wedding has transformed in 2026. And crucially, we want to look at how digital platforms, specifically this powerhouse platform called Weddizer.
Weddizer, yes. We have to talk about them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
How they're acting as the invisible architects behind this massive cultural shift. So, okay, let's unpack this. Because the very first thing that jumps out from this source material is the sheer scale.
Or really, the deliberate lack of scale.
Right, because micro weddings, they're no longer this fringe alternative trend,
Yeah.
For like quirky couples rebelling against the system.
No, they are the mainstream format now.
Exactly. The guest list is being strictly just ruthlessly downsized to somewhere between 20 and 50 people.
And that specific number, capping the attendance between 20 and 50, it represents a really profound psychological reset.
How so?
Well, if we look at sociological concepts, like Dunbar's number, for instance.
Right, the limit on social connections.
Exactly. Human beings possess a strict cognitive limit to the number of people with whom we can actually maintain stable, meaningful relationships. So when a couple caps a guest list at 30 or 40, they are essentially drawing a protective circle around their actual lived-in core community.
They're cutting out the noise.
Right. They are stripping away that whole performative aspect of inviting mere acquaintances or, fulfilling those familial obligations we talked about.
It's leaving the individuals who truly intersect with their daily lives.
Exactly. And it totally changes the atmospheric vibe of the room.
It really does. I was trying to conceptualize this shift, and the best analogy I could really map onto it is the experience of live music.
Oh, I like that. Let's hear it.
So think about it. A traditional 300-person wedding is the equivalent of going to a really chaotic stadium concert.
Okay.
You have a ticket, sure, but you're in the nosebleeds. You're watching the band on this giant LED screen because, they look like little ants on the stage.
Right, you're so far away.
And you're constantly bumping into strangers. Someone spills a drink on your shoes. And your connection to the actual emotional core of the performance, it's completely diluted by the sheer mass of humanity surrounding you.
You are basically a spectator in a crowd, a face in the dark watching a spectacle from afar.
Exactly.
And the emotional resonance is super thin there because the physical and psychological distance is just so vast.
But, a micro wedding of like 30 people,
Yeah.
that is a highly exclusive private acoustic session in a beautiful, dimly lit living room.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You're sitting 5 feet away from the artist. You can literally hear the singer draw a breath before the chorus.
You can make direct eye contact.
Yes, you can feel the vibration of the cello strings in your chest.
Yeah.
And if you ask yourself which one actually feels more luxurious, which one feels like a true privilege to witness, I mean, it's the acoustic session every single time.
Every time.
It's the difference between mere proximity to an event and total immersion in an experience.
That framing perfectly captures the essence of what this 2026 report is signaling. Luxury has been entirely decoupled from size.
Right.
For, the latter half of the 20th century and the early 21st century, the prevailing cultural wisdom was just that bigger inherently meant better.
Oh, absolutely. The bigger the diamond, the bigger the house.
The larger the guest list, exactly. That was the accepted, visible metric for social success, for status. But society has reached this saturation point where massive scale no longer communicates wealth or sophistication.
No, it just feels impersonal and exhausting.
And highly corporate.
Yes.
Oh.
It feels like you're attending like an industry networking convention rather than witnessing a deeply personal life milestone.
Yeah.
Like you should be wearing a metaphorical name tag.
Exactly. So what we're witnessing now is an intentional strategic downsizing to invest capital into quality.
All right.
The luxury is no longer found in the headcount. It's located in the depth of the shared experience. It's the privilege of intimacy.
That's a great phrase, the privilege of intimacy.
Yeah, because a couple is curating this highly protected physical and emotional space where genuine vulnerability, unscripted connection can actually happen. And that level of authenticity is physically impossible to achieve in a room of 300 people.
Because the couple is just performing the role of hosts in that big room rather than just existing as humans.
Precisely.
But, that brings up a really fascinating economic puzzle here. Because if the guest list is slashed from 300 down to 30, the underlying capital doesn't just vanish.
No, it certainly does not.
Right. The source material explicitly states these are not like budget-saving casual backyard barbecues where someone is just flipping burgers.
Far from it.
The overall budget remains staggering, honestly, but it gets hyper-focused.
Yeah.
Couples are spending exponentially more per guest.
Yes,
So I have to ask you, is this just a new, evolved form of elitism? Like, are couples potentially spending the same massive budgets they would have dropped on 300 people, just concentrated on 30, just to show off in a more esoteric way? Or is there a genuine philosophical shift in what couples actually value when they spend their money?
This raises an important question. And it's a tension that the trend report specifically dissects when it tries to define this micro-luxury movement.
Okay.
We have moved entirely past performative scale. I mean, in an era dominated by algorithmic social media feeds, absolutely anyone can fake a grand visual spectacle.
Sure, you just rent a cheap arch, use a wide-angle lens, and boom.
Right, you manufacture a moment. But what is truly rare, what cannot be faked, and what is therefore genuinely luxurious is a profound, meticulously designed shared experience that actually alters the guest's emotional state.
Wow.
The new status symbol isn't a crowd. It's hospitality executed at an obsessive, almost theatrical level.
Okay, let's ground that concept for a second. If I am one of the 30 people invited to this acoustic session of a wedding, what does that hyper-focused hospitality actually look like or feel like and taste like on the ground?
Well, consider the evolution of the culinary experience alone.
Okay.
In the archaic 300-person setting, a commercial catering company is tasked with basically mass-producing plates of protein.
Right. Chicken or beef.
And by the laws of physics, that food must be cooked hours in advance, placed onto plates, shoved into these rolling hot boxes, and held at a safe temperature until service.
Yeah, it gets so rubbery.
It is by definition institutional food. The texture suffers, the flavor degrades. But when the guest count is only 30...
Oh, that changes everything.
Entirely. The couple hires a renowned private chef, perhaps someone with, a Michelin star pedigree, and the meal transforms into this interactive 7-course taste menu paired with rare vintage wines. The food is cooked to order a la minute. The chef might actually step out of the kitchen to explain the local provenance of the heirloom tomatoes, or tell the story behind the vineyard that produced the pairing.
So you are essentially commissioning a bespoke, world-class restaurant to exist for one single night, exclusively for your family.
Exactly. And the entertainment undergoes a very similar metamorphosis.
Right. No more generic wedding bands.
Exactly. Instead of a band program to play a safe, predictable set list of top 40 covers, just to bridge the gap between teenagers and grandparents on a massive dance floor, The couple curates a specific auditory journey.
Oh, I love that. Auditory journey.
Right. They might hire a prestigious jazz quartet, or like a classical string ensemble from a major symphony, or even a headline-level acoustic singer-songwriter to play a customized set.
That is incredible. And what about the physical space, like the tables?
The tablescape completely shifts. You move away from standard rental inventory, the ubiquitous white polyester tablecloth and heavy banquet cutlery.
The stuff you see at every single event.
Exactly. Instead, it becomes a designer decor theme featuring custom-dyed linens, hand-thrown artisan ceramics, imported crystal glassware. When a guest sits at that table, the tactile feedback of everything they touch actually communicates value.
Yeah, they feel honored.
Exactly. They feel like a vital participant in the couple's life, rather than just a warm body processed through a party machine.
It's the stark difference between being a number on an Excel seating chart and being a truly valued, undeniable presence in the room.
Spot on.
And, to house this level of extreme, hyper-focused luxury, you obviously cannot just rent a standard commercial venue.
No, absolutely not.
Like, you can't put a Michelin star tasting menu and a symphony string quartet into a room with ugly patterned commercial carpeting and acoustic drop ceilings.
With the fluorescent lights humming in the hallway.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Which brings us to the next massive shift the report outlines, which is this total venue revolution. Couples are abandoning commercial venues entirely.
And for good reason. Commercial venues are fundamentally architectural factories built for volume and rapid turnover.
Right, they have to host a corporate luncheon on a Thursday.
A trade show on a Friday.
And 2 weddings simultaneously on a Saturday.
Exactly. Their infrastructure is built to survive wear and tear, not to inspire awe.
So the 2026 couple is just bypassing that entirely. They're flocking to private estates. We're talking boutique residential villas, restored heritage mansions, sprawling working farms, and these exclusive luxury waterfront properties.
It's a massive shift in real estate usage.
It is. And the report dives deeply into why this specific type of real estate is dominating the market, starting with, honestly, the most basic, primal human desire. Total privacy.
Yes, total privacy.
Because these estates operate on a model of full venue buyouts.
And the psychological value of controlling that perimeter cannot be overstated. I mean, when a couple books a hotel ballroom, they are forced to share all the liminal spaces.
The lobby, the restrooms, the elevators.
Right. With transient business travelers or, vacationing families, a bride might be taking these deeply emotional portraits, and a tourist in a bathing suit carrying an inflatable raft just walks right through the background.
Oh my gosh, yes. Or you have ambient noise from the street.
Or music bleeding through the walls from the corporate seminar next door.
It completely shatters the immersive illusion. You are dressed in beautiful bespoke tailoring. You're feeling the heavy, beautiful emotional weight of the day, and then you hear the mundane ding of a lobby elevator.
And a bellhop rolls a squeaky luggage cart past your photographer.
Yes.
Yeah.
The real world just constantly intrudes on your sacred moment.
But a private estate buyout eliminates that friction entirely. There are no shared spaces. The couple essentially becomes the sovereign ruler of that territory for the duration of the event.
I love that. The sovereign ruler.
They design their wedding as a secluded, fortified personal retreat. They construct this temporary utopian world populated only by their 30 favorite human beings, and absolutely no one else is granted access.
And because you hold the physical keys to the entire property, your relationship with time completely shifts.
That's a huge point.
Right. This multi-day experience changes the fundamental rhythm of a wedding. We're no longer talking about a frantic 6-hour sprint on a Saturday night where you just rush from the ceremony to the cocktail hour to the dinner to the exit.
No, these events have morphed into actual vacations.
Exactly.
The compressed timeline of a traditional wedding generates immense anxiety. The couple feels this crushing obligation to maximize every single second, which paradoxically prevents them from actually enjoying any of it.
Right, they're just watching the clock.
But when the guests are staying in the estate's guest houses or in a boutique hotel exclusively booked out just down the road, the itinerary expands to breathe. The event becomes a 3 or 4 day immersion.
Yeah, the itinerary detailed in the report sounds literally like a luxury travel brochure.
It really does.
You've got welcome dinners under string lights on Thursday, poolside recovery brunches on Friday, unhurried outdoor ceremonies on Saturday afternoon, and then these late-night after-parties stretching into Sunday morning.
Renting a private estate for a micro-wedding is effectively renting an entire luxury boutique hotel just for your inner circle. rather than renting a sterile conference room for a few fleeting hours.
And it permanently solves the most pervasive complaint couples have harbored for decades.
Which is?
The feeling that they never actually spent quality time with the people they invited.
Oh, absolutely.
Because in a multi-day estate setting, the pressure to perform is completely dissolved. A groom can have a quiet 2-hour coffee and conversation with his college roommate on a Friday morning overlooking a vineyard.
Right.
And by the time the actual vows are exchanged on Saturday, the guests aren't just arriving in a rush from the airport. They are deeply settled, deeply reconnected with one another.
The nervous, frantic energy has completely dissipated.
Exactly. It engineers a genuine, organic community.
It's broken.
Now, I'm really fascinated by the visual aesthetics of the properties couples are selecting, because the report categorizes the estate landscape into these distinct visual profiles, and they are incredibly evocative. Let's look at the first one. Heritage mansions with modern interiors.
This represents a brilliant architectural juxtaposition.
Okay, break that down for me.
So, a couple selects the external shell of a historic structure, perhaps an 18th century French chateau or like a Gilded Age manor in New York.
So you have the heavy old world stonework.
The grand imposing columns, exactly, the weight of history, but the interior has been ruthlessly gutted and redesigned with stark contemporary minimalism.
Oh, I love that deliberate, jarring aesthetic clash.
Right.
You have centuries-old ornate oil paintings and original crown molding sharing a room with ultra-modern, transparent, lucite dining chairs.
And abstract geometric light fixtures.
Yes, it feels highly editorial,
Mm.
like a spread you would see in an avant-garde design magazine.
Yeah. And it provides incredible texture. It honors the permanence and grandeur of the past, but firmly anchors the event in the contemporary moment. It signals that the couple appreciates history, but refuses to be bound by traditionalism.
That is so cool. And then we see the rise of nature-integrated estates.
Yes.
We're talking old-growth forests, secluded lakeside villas, sprawling agricultural vineyards.
The philosophy here is that the raw, natural environment is so overwhelmingly beautiful and sensory rich that it fundamentally replaces the need for manufactured, imported decor.
Oh, that makes total sense.
Right. Why would a couple allocate $50,000 toward artificial, fabricated floral backdrops when they can position their dinner table beneath the canopy of a 200-year-old oak tree?
Overlooking a pristine glass-like lake at sunset.
Exactly. The natural world provides a scale, a majesty, and an organic architecture that no event designer could ever replicate inside a windowless ballroom.
And when you step onto a property like that, the air smells like pine needles and damp earth. You hear the wind moving through the leaves. The environment just engages all 5 senses instantly.
It's incredibly grounding.
It is. And taking that concept globally, we see the destination estates trend.
Oh, yes. Mediterranean villas clinging to the cliffs in Italy.
Isolated mountain lodges in the Swiss Alps.
Coastal estates in remote regions. This leans heavily into the psychology of a shared journey.
How so?
Well, when a couple asks their 30 closest friends to board a flight to a Mediterranean villa, they are no longer merely hosting a party. They are gifting their community a curated, high-end holiday.
Wow, yeah.
The logistical act of traveling together, navigating a foreign country, and arriving at this secluded destination, it acts as a very powerful bonding mechanism.
So the group forms a cohesive tribe long before the first piece of wedding cake is even cut.
Precisely. It's a profound shared narrative.
But for the couples who don't want to manage the granular details of international travel, the report also highlights these all-inclusive packages at domestic estates.
Right, because not everyone wants to be a travel agent.
Exactly. These properties bundle the world-class catering, the luxury decor, and the multi-day coordination into a seamless experience to radically reduce the cognitive load on the couple.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, private estates have evolved into these blank, boundless, creative playgrounds.
Grounds, yeah.
Because traditional venues operate on a massive list of restrictions. You must utilize their mediocre in-house caterer. The music must be turned off precisely at 11:00 p.m.
You cannot alter the lighting. You can't hang installations from the ceiling.
Right. But private estates offer complete environmental supremacy. If a couple decides they want to serve a formal, seated dinner at midnight under the stars, they can.
Or if they want to host an acoustic sound bath for their guests in the garden at sunrise.
They have the authority to do so, exactly.
Okay, but let's inject a healthy dose of reality into this utopian vision for a second.
Okay, let's do it.
Because the creative freedom sounds intoxicating. It really does. But coordinating a 4-day immersive event featuring a private Michelin-caliber chef, custom structural florals, and a string quartet at a private vineyard in the middle of an agricultural zone.
Or a cliffside villa in the Mediterranean.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like an absolute crushing logistical nightmare.
Oh, it's a massive undertaking.
You are essentially asking a couple with zero event production experience to build a luxury restaurant, a high-end boutique hotel, and a nightclub from absolute scratch, inside a residential house that was never structurally designed to handle commercial events.
Right.
How is anyone actually executing this without suffering a total nervous breakdown?
That is the pivotal structural question of the entire micro-wedding movement. Because a private estate, no matter how breathtaking the architecture or the view, is fundamentally just a beautiful, empty house.
Empty house. Yeah.
It lacks industrial kitchens with high-voltage power supplies. It lacks a commercial prep area. It doesn't have a loading dock for rental trucks. It doesn't have an in-house staff, and it certainly doesn't come with a built-in event timeline.
So it's like the untamed frontier of event planning.
Exactly. Every single fork, every single napkin, every single kilowatt of electricity might need to be brought onto the property.
And here is where it gets really interesting, because the report introduces the hidden core engine making this entire 2026 cultural shift mechanically possible.
The digital platform.
Yes, Weddizer. According to the source material, this massive migration to private estates would be functionally impossible without couples relying heavily on Weddizer to manage the back-end complexity.
Weddizer is essentially the digital architect bridging the gap between a couple's Pinterest board and the brutal reality of estate planning.
It's the ultimate tool.
Truly. Without a sophisticated digital marketplace like Weddizer, this trend would have remained a niche, hyper-expensive endeavor, reserved only for couples who could afford to hire a full-time, $100,000 a year event production firm.
Because finding a private estate that actually permits events is a massive logistical hurdle on its own.
Oh, it's incredibly difficult. You cannot simply go onto a standard vacation rental site and book a house for a wedding.
No, of course not.
There are strict municipal zoning laws, complex
yeah.
residential noise ordinances, liability insurance requirements, strict capacity limits.
Right. If a couple tries to do this manually, they will spend 6 months just calling property managers, only to find out a venue doesn't allow amplified music past 8:00 p.m.
Exactly. It's a nightmare of red tape.
But Weddizer absorbs that immense friction. Let's dig into the specific technical features the report highlights, because the mechanics of this platform are just fascinating.
Let's do it.
First, discovering the private estate venues themselves. As you mentioned, these are hidden gems. They aren't running full-page ads in bridal magazines.
No, they're very discreet.
So Weddizer aggregates these elusive properties into a centralized, searchable database.
And it functions as a highly vetted, specialized marketplace. Weddizer's algorithm filters and displays only those properties that are legally zoned, structurally equipped, and contractually permitted to host multi-day micro-weddings.
That alone saves so much time.
But it goes deeper. It maps out the hidden infrastructure.
What do you mean?
Well, does this 18th century French chateau have a power grid capable of supporting a catering team's electric ovens and a DJ's sound system simultaneously without blowing a transformer?
Oh, wow.
Right? Weddizer holds that data. It translates raw residential real estate into viable commercial event spaces, instantly saving a couple hundreds of hours of frustrating dead-end research.
That is genius. And the platform also features a tool for comparing micro-wedding packages, which is huge because when you are looking at estates, you are basically comparing apples to oranges to pineapples.
It's impossible to compare them normally.
Right. One estate might include tables and a commercial kitchen annex, while another is literally just a raw lawn where you have to build a tent from scratch.
Exactly. And Weddizer normalizes this disparate data. It provides a clean UI where a couple can actually see a transparent breakdown of what is included.
So they can accurately forecast the total logistical cost of a property before signing a contract.
The ability to normalize that data is revolutionary for consumer transparency.
It really is. And the platform's third core feature solves what I think is the hardest human capital problem: finding trusted vendors capable of executing bespoke micro-luxury.
The vendor ecosystem is highly specialized.
Yeah, because the catering company that thrives on producing 300 chicken dinners in a banquet hall factory, that is fundamentally not the same culinary team that excels at a 30-person, highly customized estate wedding.
No, it requires a completely different operational psychology.
Right. A banquet hall caterer is basically a logistics manager cooking in bulk.
While a micro wedding caterer needs to be an agile private chef, someone who can adapt a menu on the fly, source ingredients from the local farmer's market that morning, and plate the food right in front of the guests in a residential kitchen.
And Weddizer acts as a matchmaking service for this. It specifically connects couples with a curated roster of vendors who specialize in this highly intimate, hyper-customized scale.
Furthermore, the platform provides sophisticated digital tools for building personalized, multi-day wedding timelines.
Which we know is crucial.
Crucial. Managing a 4-day estate wedding is complex. You have guests arriving on Thursday needing airport transportation, off-site excursions on Friday, a rehearsal dinner, hair and makeup schedules, the ceremony on Saturday, and departures on Sunday.
So many moving parts.
Coordinating the intricate logistics, the vendor arrival times, and the meals for multi-day immersion requires, frankly, military-grade precision. And Weddizer centralizes that scheduling into a single collaborative dashboard that the couple, the vendors, and the guests can all access.
It's like having a digital wedding planner in your pocket. The platform even integrates tools for exploring trending decor styles.
Which is so helpful.
Yeah, because when you secure a blank canvas estate, you aren't just picking between option A or option B from a venue brochure. You are the creative director of the space.
And Weddizer provides the visual inspiration and directly links those aesthetics to the rental companies that can actually supply them.
It's all connected.
The profound irony of this entire ecosystem is how technology is functioning here. I mean, we often critique digital technology as a force that makes humanity colder, right? More distant, more detached from the physical world.
Yeah, usually screens pull us apart.
But in the context of the microwedding, the technology is the very mechanism enabling deep human intimacy.
Oh, that's a brilliant way to frame it.
By outsourcing the overwhelming cold logistics of bespoke estate planning, the contracts, the timeline, the power grid specs to Weddizer's centralized platform, the couple's cognitive bandwidth is freed up.
So they aren't spending the 6 months leading up to their wedding furiously arguing over rental chair delivery windows or filing permits for local noise ordinances.
Exactly. The digital tool absorbs the stress of the logistics so the humans can fully invest in the warm emotional connection of the event.
And looking ahead, the report notes that platforms like Weddizer are aggressively integrating AI-based planning tools to further streamline this process.
Oh, the AI integration is going to be massive.
Right. Imagine an AI that can analyze a couple's aesthetic preferences from their visual boards, calculate their budget down to the dollar, factor in their desired geographical climate, and instantly suggest the mathematically perfect private estate and a fully available vendor team.
It takes a process that traditionally caused immense anxiety and turns it into a seamless, almost frictionless journey toward a curated luxury experience.
It honestly makes you wonder how previous generations ever managed to plan anything without losing their minds. Which naturally brings us to the visual execution. Because once Weddizer has helped a couple secure that breathtaking heritage mansion and the incredible private chef, what does the physical environment actually look like when the guests arrive?
Let's dive into it.
Let's deeply map out the aesthetic of intimacy, these 2026 design trends. The report highlights a major shift toward minimalist luxury styling,
Yes.
characterized by clean spatial layouts, highly neutral color palettes, and deeply intentional decor pieces.
This aesthetic philosophy is a sharp, aggressive pivot away from the chaotic more is more visual clutter that dominated the wedding industry